We've all heard the horror stories. AI will replace us all in the next 5 to 10 years. I hope it's really not true. But here's the practical truth. A project manager who learns to embrace AI will outpace one who doesn't. Today, I'll show you how AI can be your co-pilot and not your replacement. Hi everyone, it's Dave here and welcome back to Project Management 101. Today, we're breaking down how you can use AI to make your work faster, sharper and safer. So as project managers, why do we need to care about AI? I think the truth is, as project managers, we juggle an awful lot of tasks. We juggle deadlines, risks, budgets, reporting and many more tasks. And AI can't physically replace the decision making that we make and the way that we bring a team together. But it will give you earlier warnings, a better radar and time back to allow you to focus and use your judgement where it's more better placed. So the first place you can start using AI in your day-to-day activity is within note-taking. If you're using tools like Microsoft Teams, I hope you've seen the note-taking and the transcription service that it offers. That's driven by AI. It's listening to our meetings and transcribing them to allow people that watch later to have an easy to read visual, or they can watch the callback within the recording itself. That's AI in practice, and you might already be using it. I certainly am. Once you've got those notes, once you've got that transcription, however you're doing it, once you've got that, you can use AI tools such as Copilot, ChatGPT, amongst many others that you can use on the internet. Please consult your business to make sure that you're compliant with any rules and policies that are in place. At my company, we use Copilot. We shouldn't use ChatGPT, for example. But you can use those tools to plug in and help to summarise your minutes. You can pull out any key actions, and then you can check and make sure that they're targeted, time-bound, and all the things that we talk about. And you can refer to some of my previous lessons around that to make sure that they are planned for and focused to drive the outcome that was agreed within the meeting. And it's a great way to help you get ahead of that, and then you're doing a review and a revision rather than starting fresh. You can then use that to share those minutes with your wider team members, and you're saving everybody a bit of time. The next place you can think about using AI is trend spotting. If you feed in your project metrics and give it some clear instructions around analysis and looking for certain patterns or spotting trends that could be in the data that you might not see simply and easily, it'll do all of that hard work for you and highlight some things that you may have missed or may have not spotted without doing that. And that could be things like rising defect rates, tasks that are slipping, or emerging stakeholder friction, maybe with milestones being missed or not being able to get through a stage gate in the timely manner that you expected. They could all be early warning signs, and you can align with your stakeholders and your wider teams to help build a mitigation plan and head them off at the pass. So moving on from trend spotting is data analytics. Let the AI crunch the numbers on things like your burn down chart, project costs, or maybe even feed it in some survey responses if you've recently run a localized survey within your team, and allow it to produce concise insights and suggested scenarios for decisions or ways that you can help the team moving forward. I think where AI gives us some real opportunities, and if we take a step back and start to think about the wider scenarios, here's a few examples where you could see it being really powerful, and I've started to experiment with it myself. Things like automated insights from past projects, feeding in the data, and it allows you to reuse real lessons that you and the organisation have already learnt, and it takes away the guesswork. Faster forecasting, for example, allows you to spot cost and schedule trends much more early. You can use the AI tools to remove the mundane work and make it much more quick and efficient. Things like summaries, status emails can be drafted much more quickly once you've got the set of data. And maybe even a draft first plan. Once you know the framework, can it spit it out into the format that you like? Can it build you a framework? Can it give you some more suggestions? There's some great ideas that you can play with. Another area you can experiment is using it as a decision simulator to help you identify different options that you might have for maybe risk mitigations or issue mitigations, feeding in the data, feeding in the requirements and feeding in the outcomes that you'd like to see is a great way of almost having that conversation with yourself, with a friendly companion, to give you a little bit of a steer before you go out and seek further advice, or actually before you spend your budget. And here's quite an advanced one. You could perhaps scale your scarce engineering resource to help program answers to frequently asked questions, for example, maybe by more associate and kind of very early in the career software engineers, to allow them to get their answers more quickly. There's a great opportunity there. So like any software system, an AI is ultimately software. If you put garbage in, you get garbage out. That's a really important rule and you need to be very careful. If there's any bias or dirty historical data, it may produce misleading recommendations. If you have an over-reliance on the tools, it will completely erode your judgement and your stakeholder skills. And that's so important and critical as a project manager. Another one is using black box outputs all the time complicates auditability and your ability to explain it. Doing things like feeding sensitive contract information or personal identifiable information into a public tool like ChatGPT or Copilot adds significant risk, not only to you, but to the individuals as well. You really need to be mindful that you don't break privacy laws or compliance laws, and that you don't break company policies that are in place around personal data. Those in the UK, we have the Data Protection Act. In other parts of the world, there's different acts. So it's really important to make sure that you're up to date on the rules in your geographical area. I think the final one is spurious correlations can create false confidence and ultimately drive bad decisions. Recently, I experimented with AI and got it to run through a set of previous project data to understand what trends it would spot. It highlighted one of the suppliers we'd been using was potentially risky to use further. I think what I found really interesting about that is when I went in and looked at the data myself, it had spotted something that actually wasn't a risk, and there was appropriate understanding and documentation that was a fair mitigation for the circumstance that was faced, but ultimately the AI wasn't able to see that, and this really hammers home the importance of being able to take the step back and analyse the data yourself. These tools are here to help us. They're definitely not going to replace me today, and hopefully not you tomorrow. I think the key message here is always validate anything that you're getting back from it, whether you're getting it to write up some notes, whether you're getting it to write an email, whether you're getting it to predict something. Take the time and really understand it. Look at what you asked it to do. Look at what it's done. Does it really make sense? Is it answering the question right? Or is there a bias? Have you not seen it? Is it acting on incorrect data? I've had a lot of responses using AI where it's given me the wrong answer. I knew it was wrong. I read it and challenged it and said, this is wrong. And it came back and said, absolutely, you're right. The data is wrong. I looked at the wrong thing. Here's the right data. And I was able to catch it and correct it in advance before it went anywhere further. In terms of using it day to day, here's some practical mitigations you can use and kind of how-to steps. The first step you can take is human in the loop. That's your first process. That means there's human oversight and intervention within the entire chain, from feeding in the right data to reviewing the output and reviewing the outcome and making sure that it genuinely is the right thing before it goes any further. When you're going to feed in some data, make sure you curate it correctly. Make sure you remove any personal identifiable information or sensitive company information. Tag root causes if there are issues and risks. And make sure you identify outcomes. So the AI understands all of those components and it can assess the data without misunderstanding. try to bias towards explainability. So choose tools or challenge the tools to give you the data that backs the description or the assumption that they're making or whatever it's describing to you. Can they show you the data set? Can they show you the graph? Can they show you how confident they are in the data and the information that they're telling you? And that allows you to build a sense of, great, this we can trust, or actually it's a 50-50 thing, it's just found it on the internet. That happens more than you can think. I think drilling it into a project perspective, we need to think about it from a governance angle. Who are the people within the project team who can query the project data? That shouldn't just be open to anybody. So defining that within your governance set is a really important step. Equally with that, what are the retention rules for it? Does it impact the Data Protection Act policies in place for your organisation? So there's a few things that you should be calling out within your project initiation document and the wider documentation set for your project. I think when using it with your wider team, whether that's project managers that may be reporting to you if you're a more senior project manager, or maybe it's your wider project team, spend some time learning it together, learn its limits, set some boundaries and some rules around its limitations, and make sure that you've got an escalation process in place for the team so nothing crazy happens. We don't break the code base, we don't break the project, we don't destroy the plan, trying to go faster, trying to think we're being smarter when actually the AI only knows what we feed it. Remember, garbage in, garbage out. Guardrails allow us to protect the garbage going in to stop the garbage coming out. So, challenge for you this week then is to take a step back and think about what's the one thing that you're going to do this week. How will you implement AI in your daily life? Think about, could I get some AI to do some note taking? Could I get it to review an email that I've written perhaps? Could I get it to review my project documentation? It will be biased and tell you how great it is, but if you ask the right questions and drive it towards can you review this wording to make sure it's coherent, or can you look through this documentation to make sure I've not got any spelling mistakes? Can you help summarise a paragraph into a more powerful statement that adds the value of the project? We're aiming to achieve this thing by this timescale. How can we describe that better? And you can use it for things like that. So have a bit of a play, but let me know in the comments below what's the one thing you're going to try out, not only based on this video, but the other learning that you're doing. I'd love to hear about it. I'm really keen to learn from you guys on this, as much as, you know, I'm no expert. I'm learning along and sharing with you as I'm going. So let me know. I'd love to hear about it. So, I don't think AI is the enemy. It's an edge if you can use it wisely. Start smart, validate it always, and keep judgment at the centre of everything that you do when you're using AI. Make sure you like and subscribe for more practical advice in project, programme and delivery management. I'm Dave. Thanks for watching Project Management 101. It's great to see you all again. From chaos to clarity. Take care.